but as you know, it's been recorded and published online following the meeting. Please press the raise your hand button when you want to speak. Please leave your mic on mute unless you are speaking. Thank you. So let's give it a start. Liz, do you want to start recording? Okay. Right, welcome everyone to the meeting of CCNN panel. Apologies, Liz.
And we've received one apology from Councillor Bridget Rowlands.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Disclosures? Any disclosures?
Chair, yes. I think I need to disclose I own a property with my husband that is let as a holiday let.
Okay, thank you.
To support tourism.
Yeah. Thank you, Wendy. Right, okay, anybody else? No? Okay. Then, right.
Sorry, Chair, we have received one more from Chris Evans.
Okay, so
yeah.
Hi, Chris. Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the committee of the Gower Walking Festival. So it's a personal interest. I don't think it's prejudicial because it's a not-for-profit voluntary organisation, so there's no monetary incentive for me.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Okay. Right, should we go on to item 3? Yeah. Prohibition of whipped votes and declaration of party whips. Any comments? No. Okay, minutes of previous meeting. Page, it's a letter. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Any comments there? Anything you want to change? Okay. Can I get a proposer for that it's a proper copy of the minutes? Yep, thank you, Michael. And a seconder? Could I get a seconder? I can't see. Can you see anyone, Liz? Anyone seconding that? Or do we need a seconder?
Oh, it's fine.
No, we're fine. That's okay then. Moving on. Public question time. Has there been any questions from the public, Liz?
No, we haven't received any, Chair.
Gosh, we're flying through this. Okay, so I'll leave you with Steve now. Yes, Steve? All ready?
Yes. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to present an update on this report that originally we shared in August 2021. I'll put it on screen now, and hopefully you can all see that, Chair. If I might need a thumbs up from you because you're the only one I can see on screen now. Excellent, thank you very much. Yes, so just by means of introduction, my name's Steve Hopkins. I'm the Tourism and Marketing Manager, and I'm joined by my colleague Michelle Grove, who's just out of camera shot, who helped with the compilation of this report and the update as well. So basically, this report includes an update on the report that we presented in August 2021. It also includes a summary of the activity that the team do in terms of marketing, tourism development, and the support that we give for businesses, particularly around the theme of environmental tourism, which is the nature of this particular scrutiny committee. And then, this report will also then be of interest then obviously to the panel and how it contributes towards the climate change and nature strategy from 2022 to 2030, and obviously the council's commitment to net zero carbon by 2050. So I hope you was okay following the report, basically we provided a response in terms of the report that previously kept that in the report, and then gave an update then to the report from 2021. But in terms of just some background, I think you're all well versed with these figures now, which have seen a growth in 2022. We've topped the sort of £500 million mark now in terms of tourism's economic contribution towards the local economy, attracting over 4 million visitors throughout the course of the year, and that has an impact in terms of employment, direct and indirect, locally. So it continues to be a significant employer and a major industry for the city and county of Swansea. Particular focus for us isn't necessarily about more visitors though, but it is very much about trying to get those visitors that we have got to spend more money, and that's by marketing the area as effectively as we do, but also working with businesses to make sure that businesses invest in their properties and therefore justify an increase in visitor spend, because the quality of the operation that they provide is a good one, a pleasurable one, and one worth paying that extra bit of money. So yes, the 4.2 million visitors are important, but equally for us, it is about getting them to spend more as well. Okay. A lot of what we do is sort of covered under the destination management plan that was approved by Cabinet very recently. And it's very much sort of sets the parameters in which we work in terms of the themes, the sort of priorities and the actions, and most importantly, how they link to such a wide variety of sort of corporate aims and objectives, but also those of the partners that we work with, the likes of Visit Wales, Welsh Government, Welsh Government, sorry. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the context. So in terms of the update from the committee that we attended on the 17th of August 2021, there was a particular recommendation around the promotion of ecotourism. And if I can just go to the update, I think it was welcome, certainly the feedback we had from that committee, because it did help us to make sure that some of those recommendations was sort of weaved into our marketing activity. In particular with this one, it was about working with other partners, and ultimately, like most government and local authority bodies, working collaboratively is ultimately one of the key aims, really, in terms of from our point of view, making sure that we're working with local organisations to make sure that the spread of tourism and the benefit from tourism is clear, but also then working with funding organisations as well, so we can draw down any funding that's available to make sure that the product is improved locally. So the update on that one is that yes, we very much continue to work with other organisations, in particular a few that are listed there: South and West Wales Wildlife Trust, Wales Coast Path, Keep Wales Tidy, and the National Park as well. So those are organisations that we have regular dialogue with. In terms of the promotion of eco-environmental tourism, it was interesting that I think one of the comments at the time was about perhaps working with a local celebrity, and I'll come on to it a little bit later. But yeah, working with Yolo was an opportunity that we couldn't miss, and a lot of our marketing activity I'll probably update a little bit further on in the report. But ultimately, our marketing locally is very much driven by what they're doing nationally, and they have what they call thematic years. And this year and next year is the year of the trails, and those trails can be anything. They could be walking trails, cycling trails, food trails, culture trails, beach trails. It is a variety of activities, really, that that we link to locally and sort of market the area under those trails themes, and then all the activity that we produce is linked to the trails, and therefore we have that link then to what they're doing nationally with Visit Wales. So in terms of nature and wildlife, we've had many, as you would expect with a with a coastline and the countryside and sort of parkland that we have. We have quite a lot of product in which we've got to market, and we've done so, and I can give a bit more of a detailed update on that a little bit later. The next action then was about improving the council's environmental message, and I think probably one of the key things here was that, this became really evident during COVID, and about visiting the destination more responsibly. And again, I've got a more detailed update in terms of what we do from a marketing point of view a little bit further on in the report, if that's okay, Chair, for me to keep skipping from this section, because the real update is a little bit further on. In terms of research of possibility of environmental wildlife professional celebrity, yeah, that was Yolo Williams, who, as I said, it was a recommendation from this group, and we had an opportunity, and we've worked with Yolo on a couple of occasions now, and he's a very loyal advocate of the destination and was very keen to work with us, so that worked really well. Another one was action was to encourage our local tourism businesses to develop facets of their business which relate to this theme. So I think one of the best ways of influencing that is through grant, as well as marketing. We're working with a lot of businesses to actually understand, how their offer particularly relates to this theme. And we've got a number of operators that we work with, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on this on section 3.4 on business support, because it isn't just about marketing here. We have managed to secure some funding under the Economic Recovery Fund and the Shared Prosperity Fund to support businesses, and I'll update a little bit later on that as well. This is where we start venturing a little bit outside, not so much my comfort zone, but in terms of our area of influence. I think probably the one thing about this particular scrutiny committee highlight is the fact that, from our point of view, whilst we're all about tourism, you will see that tourism isn't all about us in terms of the team here within cultural services, and therefore we've got numerous links to other sections and services who either approach us with regards to plans that they have, and therefore seeking either some research to help influence those plans, or whether those plans need to fall under the guise of that destination management plan, just to show how coordinated and connected the projects that they're proposing are. I suppose cycling and encouraging cycling is one of those, and it's certainly one of the things that we've seen grown, and we've managed to get an update from colleagues in our transportation team to give an update on the grant that they received through the Active Travel Fund, who we are as a council. We do benefit significantly. I think Councillor Francis Davis was telling me this morning we're one of the largest recipient local authorities of that fund across Wales, probably amassing the lion's share of the budget as well. So it just goes to show that yes, active travel is important because it enables communities to be connected, but those communities it's not just to residents, it is to open up these links to visitors to the destination as well. There is currently no funding available for general promotion of active travel, and when funding was received from Welsh Government in the past, it was focused on utility journeys only. So the update that we've had to that particular response from the last time is the promotion of active travel schemes are incorporated into project plans. So very much so, what we try to encourage most projects when they're moving forward, don't just think about developing the project, think about an allocation of resources that will help promote the project. And I think they're now doing that as well. Okay, so that's either through print or in terms of active travel maps, or through a lot of the interpretation that you see at various locations along a particular route. And this was the update that was provided by colleagues in transport. Swansea Council continues to provide hard copy maps and digital maps, and we do that through the .gov site, which is a great source of information for residents, but also emerging visitors. And we also include a lot of information on the destination website. forgive me, I probably should have given a little bit of introduction to this in terms of it's the one sort of portal that we work with over 220 private sector businesses on to try and bring together all the information that visitors to a destination would want to obtain. And that includes a variety of information on, where to eat, where to drink, what events are taking place, and ultimately then what activities they can do. And walking and cycling are very, very popular sections of the website. Okay, so the last update, we gave a feature about North Gower, being an important and developing part of the destination. And from an environmental sustainability point of view, I think the comment was made about, if we can develop areas in North Gower, Mawr in particular, those areas along the M4, north of the M4 corridor, then it will sort of relieve some of the pressure points on some of the more popular honey point destinations, particularly during the key summer months where, the likes of Caswell, Langland and the beaches then right round to Portynan, Oxwich, Rossilly, they become very, very attractive propositions for people visiting the area. Working with a lot of businesses in North Gower, we've been able to promote sort of the nature and wildlife offer because it is a very rural area. And one of the features that YOLO did, I can update a little bit later. In terms of the general expansion of cycle hire facilities, the update on that from colleagues in transportation is that they've secured additional resources from Welsh Government for this financial year to develop a business case for the ongoing development of a cycle hire scheme in Swansea. We know how important cycling is on the back of the infrastructure that we have, and it's a great sustainable way of encouraging both residents and visitors to sort of journey around the destination. There are cycle hire opportunities available. Santander is still running, still a popular scheme, which predominantly is targeted at students because it connects the two campuses from Bay Campus in the east right down to the Singleton Park campus. But we work with cycle hire companies as well. And, we've recently worked with an organization that have set up called Towie Bikes. So we help promote those as a means for visitors safely navigating their way around the destination. And in terms of an update as well, we've had shared prosperity funding on the back of the ERF funding. The ERF funding has enabled us to work with a number of businesses who identified cycling and walking facilities as a requirement really for them to invest in cycling and walking facilities at their accommodation, and therefore we've supported the introduction of dry-in facilities and storage facilities for either these rather expensive bikes that visitors will bring to the destination, and some dry-in rooms then, if they are out and about getting muddy or whatever, then there are places then within the accommodation for them to to benefit from using those rather than having to go out anywhere else. So, that is an important part really in terms of the visitor experience to have these kind of facilities. So the grant scheme under ERF was used in particular to support a couple of applications that had noticed an increase in the number of people walking and having walking and cycling holidays. So in terms of promotion of sort of the experiences that people can have, we produce a lot of print. We used to produce a lot of print, and we used to have a tourist information centre, but now we've got this one portal really, which is visitswanseabay.com, where we tend to house all the information that is either produced by ourselves or colleagues, and it's available as downloads. But it's not just something that we hope that they're going to find. We do market sort of the walking and cycling offer throughout the year, and encourage people through our mail shots to access and either watch some of the videos that we produce or to download some of the information that they can to enable them to have a good experience when they come here. I think this is quite a topical one at the moment, isn't it? The about the development of the Gower off-road cycling network. You can see from an update the work has been carried out to develop and promote a network of bridleways. A map of routes is in the process of being prepared. We noticed that the scheme has been limited due to legal issues, and more information about progress would be appreciated. Well, the update from colleagues is the project has been completed using RDP funding, and information on this sort of off-road cycling offer across Gower is available in the section where you can download it on visitswansea.com. And we also offer a link to the map as well. So those were the updates from the report, but we also wanted to give an update on the work of the team, really, so that some of this you may be familiar with, especially some of the councillors present today who have been on the scrutiny committee looking at the destination management plan. So forgive me if some of this is repeated, but pretty much the work that we do with the team, like I say, is to encourage people to spend a little bit more money, but also focusing in coming in the spring and autumn. We don't generally do a lot of marketing during the summer months because we know we've got a loyal repeat base of visitors. So it's very much about this time of year now, trying to make sure that, you know, businesses see visitors coming through the door. And to do that, usually walking and cycling is a, you know, a really sort of predominant reason for people to come. We produce walking and cycling trails videos, and in the report there's links to you know, everything that we produce. We've got our own YouTube channel where there's quite a lot of content on there now. And I always remark on this that, you know, back in the day when we were producing a holiday guide, producing 75,000 guides, it was taking us something like, I don't know, 2/3 of the year really to work with businesses to produce these guides and, you know, get them distributed. And we never really knew in terms of, you know, how efficient that was, other than, you know, we were tracking people who were requesting the guides, but when we were going to shows, people were picking up guides. So to have all this information on a website now means that we can, you know, share with you a lot of the sort of results that we get from the marketing activity that we undertake. So you'll see some examples here of the e-shots that we send out, which encourage people to arrive in a more sustainable way via public transport, and then, you know, experience the destination then by rail. And it's either information that we produce or that we'll work with colleagues to produce that sort of sustainable, environmental themed weekend or week stay within the destination. We continue to develop a lot of new content on the website, and that's why the website continues to be a very popular location and reliable source of information for people, and in particular around this visit responsibly, which I said came to the fore really during COVID and the lockdown. We were asking people to be a little bit more aware of their facilities and the environment around them, as well as, you know, residents, but also reminding visitors of the need to be aware of, you know, everything from you know, the dog walking code, about how they should treat you know, the public rights of way, about, you know, utilizing more sustainable modes of transport around the destination, and the increasing introduction of things like barbecue bins, because people were, you know, starting to use these the beaches more for, you know, some sort of activity, which did result in some antisocial behavior, but through a sort of more coordinated approach, working with colleagues in parks through the beaches management group, you know, we've seen an increase in the number of barbecue bins, and hopefully a reduction then in the number of incidents of you know, littering and you know, these sort of disposable barbecues being left on beaches. So the website is very much about visiting responsibly, you know, whether they come whichever route they take into the destination, or whatever routes they use when they're here, but just be mindful of what makes you know, Britain's first area of outstanding natural beauty a special place. Key to that was a nature and wildlife campaign in 2022, so just after the last scrutiny committee, where you know, where it was highlighted that perhaps working with a celebrity, And then we work with Yolo Williams to produce a number of videos really to help promote the destination. That's promoting, you know, the sustainable tourism offer, encouraging people to respect the environment and to visit more responsibly, but also encouraging, you know, the people to experience the great outdoors from a health and well-being point of view. So sustainable, you know, tourism is not just about the economic and environmental benefits, but also the health and the general well-being benefits of exploring a destination and understanding a little bit more about what the natural environment has and how that can make a significant improvement to people's health and well-being. And as I said, from an economic point of view, trying to encourage people during what we call the shoulder seasons, so spring and autumn. You know, that enables businesses to be a little bit more economically sustainable because they can stay open later into the season. You know, it means then that people stay on in employment a lot longer, and hopefully, you know, they operate on a 12-month year basis. Here's all the information in terms of the elements of the campaign, because it's all relevant really to this particular panel update. And you can see a lot of the stats there in terms of whether it's, you know, the videos that are shown. So, you know, 596,000 views. Now, you know, that's a hell of a lot. And when you think about when we used to be in the days of just producing print and 75,000 brochures, you know, the word is spread a lot more significantly as a result of sort of digital marketing activity. And we do that through not only just through promoting videos organically, but all our social media campaigns, you know, generate significant results as well. And in 2022, you know, again, we reached over 946,000 people. So that's what the reach is, you know, the amount of people that have seen it, and the total impressions is 1.9 million. So one person has almost looked at 2 different pages on a website. That's what impressions means. Okay. In addition to that, we've also got a number of people signed up and who are willing to receive regular information from us, particularly around the environment and sustainability. And, you know, that message is very much about promoting what makes this destination so special, about the wildlife and about the natural environment as well. We also launched some videos in spring and autumn, and these are the ones around Yolo's visit. So we spread Yolo. He was very willing, and like I say, he loves this particular part of the world, and especially what we're doing in terms of not just focusing on the typical destinations. So, you know, he went into Singleton Park and Bracelet Bay, he went down and filmed in Oxwich and Kevin Bryn, and then, like I say, the emerging sort of North Gower Mawr area in terms of rural Swansea, Clew Reservoir and Penllygare Valley Woods, 2 areas that we're seeing increasing numbers of visitors to. And as a result, in particular, Penllygare Valley Woods, you will see they've got some grand plans for the future as well. And they've done a sterling job in terms of investing in that. And then again, that was the spring. And then again, in the autumn, then we released some videos then in different parts of the destination when Yolo came back. And filmed at Portynan and Parkwood, Whitford Burrows and Cwmaivi down on the edge of the Gower Coast there, and Blackpill and Clyne. Both important, you know, from a nature point of view. So I encourage you to have a look at the playlist in the link there. It gives you an idea of Yolo's enthusiasm and love of the destination, but also some very strong environmental nature conservation messages coming through from him as well. He also likes a bit of cake and a cup of tea, so he does promote a couple of local businesses as well, where he's become a little bit of a familiar and regular visitor to some of these haunts where he remembers where the nice cake is as well. So, and then once we produce that video, it goes out on everything, on social media, on e-shots, and we generally share it through customer emails. And like I say, he's a familiar face, so it was a good tie-in for us on this particular theme. And we've certainly forged a good relationship with him. So much so, like I say, he's come in the spring and the autumn, and that's given us content then where we can use for a good few years, really, because these destinations at these particular times are the sort of areas that we want to encourage people to visit. Dark skies it hasn't been mentioned previously, but it is sort of something which is important. We put in a little definition there in terms of what dark skies means in terms of its value for Wales. And certainly we've seen an increase in the amount of businesses that are recognising the role that dark skies plays for their business as well, particularly during the Dark Skies Week, which takes place at the middle to end of February. And we produce some content with local film company to produce some dark skies videos on Gower, and you can see some of the results there, and there's some links there as well for you to see. I think this tied in as well with the astronaut Tim Peake, who visited and gave a talk at the Brangwyn Hall the year before. Might have been last year, actually. Yeah, it would have been last year. So he came to the Brangwyn Hall, Tim Peake, the astronaut and sort of keen astronomer. He came to the Brangwyn, and we also linked in with a local school really to go on Gower and experience through the eyes of an astronaut what was in space and beyond. And that was a really good tie-in for us, working with Visit Wales to enable that to happen with Tim Peake while he was with us. So yeah, dark skies is important because certainly that's one of the reasons why a lot of people visit Gower during the sort of the darker months of the year, is to experience that stargazing really. And that's something that we're keen to continue to promote, because it is the right time of year for us to encourage people to visit. So again, it's some examples here in terms of the e-shots that go out. It's not just video and images. There's a lot of creative writing that goes into these into this marketing activity. The team produce all of this in-house. Not the videos, of course, they are produced externally, but certainly the writing, which you'll see on all the social media posts, on all the e-shots. And as you can see, just by some of these examples, it just goes to show how beautiful this part of the world is at those key times when dark skies are quite prominent on the landscape. And we know that from working with the colleagues in the countryside team, who we meet regularly through the DMP and have regular updates from them, that they've secured some funding as well. We're going to be continuing to work with them to see how we can exploit this in the future. PR coverage is important, I think, for us. It's something that we've since back in the days when the football team got promoted to the Premier League, the value of PR has been quite considerable, and particularly when you've got an area as beautiful as ours, where you want to make sure that sustainable environmental message comes through loud and clear, is that we work with a number of bloggers and journalists over the years who have marveled at the beauty down here, and who have ensured that message has come through in a lot of the articles that you've produced. And during the course of 2022-23, we've had 13 visits in total, with 59 pieces of coverage. And yes, there is a cost of working on this, but I'm pleased to say that the businesses locally see the value in this PR coverage. And whilst we may, have to make a contribution to the cost of hosting a journalist, more often than not, the business see the value in it and are quite happy to either provide the visit complimentary. Excuse me, I couldn't get my words there. Or that we will work with them to reduce the cost to them. So that could be anything from accommodation to businesses that offer an attraction or an activity, or for dining. So that's a really encouraging development. But one of the key pieces of work that we did was that a blogger came in 2021 and produce a sustainable guide to the best of Swansea Bay and Wales. So that sustainable environmental message is coming through on our PR, as well as our sort of core activity of social media and e-shots. We were fortunate to produce a visitor survey in 2022, which helped inform the DMP, and I've extracted some of the key findings really from there, which are relevant to this particular panel. You know, I've mentioned on more than one occasion this morning the value of our natural landscape. It continues to be one of the major reasons that people visit the destination, whether it's the coast path, whether it's the beaches, whether it's the countryside. You know, they continue to be the big driver, and that's why we, you know, are so keen to work with organisations like Dark Skies, like YOLO, who sort of reinforce that message. There's some key stats there, really. And, you know, one of the reasons why they do like to come down here is not only to witness this environment, but to actually undertake an activity in it. And those are generally sustainable activities, walking and cycling, which continue to be the most popular activities for visitors when they are here. It's not necessarily the big sort of major treks all the way around the Wales coast path, but they do like to take sort of distances less than 2 miles, but then 2 to 6 miles as well is also a popular sort of route that we've established that they like to undertake. So, you know, the way that our parts of our destination is connected, you know, that lends itself well. Like I say, forgive me for councillors present this morning who received the destination management plan update as part of the scrutiny committee, but I thought it was pertinent to just to hark back to the fact that this is basically underpins and oversees all of our marketing activity. If it doesn't link through to the destination management plan, we don't generally do it. And as you've seen from the research this morning, if we can't evaluate what we do, if we can't measure that in terms of the impact, then we don't do it either. But we've basically taken the destination management plan through Cabinet now in October of this year. It's a plan that's in place for 23 to 26, entitled Back on Track, because we feel there is significant signs of recovery in terms of the numbers of people coming back. I suppose the disappointed thing is that, you know, we it's a national trend as well, is cost of living is having an impact on the amount of money people are spending. So they're still coming, but perhaps they're not eating out as much as they'd like, and they're not perhaps spending as much in the shops. And I think, you know, that's something that will hopefully change over the coming years with, you know, when we come out of this, you know, sort of cost of living crisis. But in terms of the DMP as 4 strategic priorities, and sustainability is at the heart of that. So that's encouraging sustainability that you see on the left hand side here. There are actions in there about developing high quality tourism products, improving the visit experience, improving the infrastructure, and protecting and enhancing the natural environment. So we'll continue to be, you know, sort of try and influence colleagues through working groups, like beaches management groups, like you know, representing tourism at Gower AONB meetings, to make sure that the environmental sustainable message is coming both ways, not just from us in public sector, but also that the private sector are grasping really the opportunities and benefits from that. And then the outcomes really is very much a more sustainable approach to tourism, both economically and environmentally. So that's the main aim of the destination management plan. There's a theme about sustainability running through it, but ultimately what we want is a more sustainable approach to tourism. Excuse me. So how we do that, like I say, we continue to be on a number of council working groups. The beauty of sitting within a directorate like place is that everybody with an impact and responsibility on tourism is in one directorate. So, you know, if it's not through one particular head of service, then it's certainly through one director. And I'm pleased that Mark is able to join us this morning. So, you know, we continue to do that through Beaches Management Group. You know, we have a major part to play in that in terms of providing research to the group, things from the visitor survey, but also one of the key things about that particular group is meeting before the season starts, so we can make sure that some of our key beaches that we manage are ready to receive visitors. And then we also meet post-season as well, just to review any particular issues that have come up, and as well sharing opportunities about funding during the course of that. So a good example of that is things like changing places, toilet facilities, which previously we had at Caswell. We've now got funding through the Brilliant Basic Scheme to introduce changing places at Nabrock and also down at Rossilli as well. So these give any visitors to the destination who've got a disability the opportunity to use facilities that are a bit more fitting for people with those disabilities, and they're more equipped really for their particular needs. One of the other things that I've mentioned previously and has been successful is securing funding through Economic Recovery Fund previously, where we had two big chunks of money to support businesses to invest in a number of facilities right across the destination, but also most recently Shared Prosperity Fund. Again, we've got 100% funding. And some of the things that we've encouraged businesses to consider as part of the criteria is, and we're pleased to witness those projects coming forward, is green eco glamping, electric vehicle charging points, solar panels, and walking and cycling facilities, as well as things like hot tubs, but using a more sustainable source of fuel really to power those. Those are all projects that have received funding, and they all very much fit in with the theme about making the destination more environmentally sustainable. We continue to encourage businesses to be part of national schemes, so things like Keep Wales Tidy, the Green Key Award, which is the environmental award for businesses around, making sure that they look at the impact of them as a business and how, they can perhaps join into schemes like Green Key, and also working with colleagues in RAP, which is about sort of food reduction, food waste reduction. And also then we make sure that we attend a variety of events and represent the industry with regards to the impact of attracting visitors into the area has, and what we're doing to mitigate those impacts. So just to come to a conclusion, and more than happy then to open it up for questions, is that we welcomed the scrutiny in 2021. We used that along with the research that we undertook of visitors in 2022. And I should add that the research took place from March, April time at the beginning of 2022 and ran until the end of September, October. So we had a good year's worth of different types of visitors coming into the destination. And then, how all that then is influenced the destination management plan, and that how we will continue to, work with colleagues in other departments, but also other public sector bodies to make sure that we deliver projects which, we continue and educate visitors on the impact of climate change on the destination. And keep going back to the fact that this was Britain's first area of outstanding natural beauty for a reason, and we want to keep it like that. And that was the end of the report, Chair. And if you're happy, I'll stop sharing now and throw it open to questions.
Oh, thank you, Steve. That was really, really good, and very concise as well. Thank you. I was particularly delighted to hear about the funding for Nabrock and the Caswell for adult changing places, because I know my other hat on as a community councillor, we get so many complaints about why aren't there more facilities like that. So that's fabulous. Thank you. So I've got questions here. I don't know if anyone else has sent in any other questions. Liz? Liz, are there any other questions?
No, we haven't received any others.
Okay, so shall I start with mine then? It's surprise, surprise. It's about public toilets. Just as I said about the fact that we've had, I think that if there's more public toilets and better facilities along the Mumbles Sea Path, we will get better tourist outcomes, because people will leave the cars behind, and we've got a captured audience then who's more likely to stop for a meal, and we won't have to worry so much about the traffic, which is an absolute pain in the summer. I also think with public toilets, bear with me here, I'm on a riff, that the shoulder services, the wanting to get people in spring and autumn, is more likely to be aimed at retired people, who again are more likely to look for these facilities. And also more cycle racks and bottle fillers along these areas so people can extend their length of time when they're out and about. I think that's enough. I know this isn't what you'd expected from this. Liz did explain that to me, but I felt it was a good opportunity to go, public toilets, what about them?
Yeah, well, if I may.
But if I could come in there, Steve, it's not this portfolio. Really, you need to talk to Councillor Cyril Anderson. He comes under his portfolio. We can all talk about toilets. There's one thing that everyone on this call today will use a toilet. In fact, everybody on the council, everybody on this earth will need to use a toilet. All I would remind people is that when it comes to budget time, it is important how much money we put in the budget and the priority that we give to it. And it's the same with active travel routes. Active travel routes is not my portfolio. That is with Andrew Stevens. And one thing that isn't taken into consideration with active travel is the maintenance budget of active travel. The first thing people do when they're overhanging with branches, I'm not saying everybody, but probably most of the people on this call will probably pick up the phone to Jeremy Davis in Parks and say, can you clear these branches back because I'm getting snagged as I cycle along. But he's in charge of Parks, and the cycle paths, there is no dedicated budget that comes in. They are highways, technically, and go into the amount of mileage of grant that is available. Do I agree we need better toilets? Yes, I do. Should we have more? Certainly. Give us the budget, we can then provide them. And that is the same with the active travel. The active travel, Welsh Government has decided the active travel, it should be for destinations where people are travelling to work, whereas we know 45% of the people that have come to Gower for tourism want to come for walking and cycling, but the active travel routes are not dedicated and the money is not predicated against that. So yes, we need more toilets. Yes, we need more cycle paths, and yes, we need more money and budgets to go with it. And it's such a shame that the austerity budgets that we've had to face year on year on year, has made us have cuts put right across budgets, and especially in place, because over 90% of our spend as a council go into education and social services, and we all know that nobody wants to make cuts there. The place budget keeps getting attacked more and more and more, the budget. People complain about potholes in roads, the active travel routes not cut back, lack of toilets. My wish is more money, more funding, because I think tourism is very important. We've seen the amount of people come in. We've seen the jobs that are creative. Steve heads up a very small tourism section, but do a great job, and how they are respected throughout Gower. Every week they put an update out to all the trade, and we have well over 200 members of the trade who look to us for this information. But I suppose another thing is bins at destinations emptied on a regular basis. But when the sun shines and there's more tourists, there's more people, they get filled more often. Then you could have weeks on end where it rains. And we do get a bit of that as well. And somebody could be traveling. I used to have myself, living in Morriston, had a caravan down in Llangenneth. It was 21 miles from my home to get to Llangenneth. But it's a long way then for when we got refuse carts having to go to long distances to empty bins that may not be full. And then when we do need them in the summer, the roads are congested and and the bins are they could probably be emptied several times a day. So there are problems. What the answers are, I'm not sure, but we are working towards it within the budgets that we got. But, it is Andrew Stevens and Councillor Cyril Anderson who are the cabinet members. Of course, we talk to each other on a regular basis. And as Steve has said, part of working groups within the Police Directorate where we do work together, but we're all facing similar problems. Too many problems, not enough solutions, because the solution comes with the money.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't answer your problem, Sarah, but
No, I had to give it a go, Robert. I had to give it a go, but thank you for your answer. Will?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the presentation, Steve. Very, very good, useful and very informative. Couple of questions, if I may. I've got 4, but I'll ask 2 at a time, maybe, if that's all right, and we'll see. With regards to access, active travel, sorry, you mentioned that obviously Welsh Government doesn't seem to do active travel schemes. They're more based around commuters, aren't they, rather than going to leisure points. I'm just wondering if there's, because I was on the cross-panel working group with Welsh Government a long time ago. I don't think they've met for a while. And I did bring up the fact that, some of these commuter distances are quite close to some tourist destinations. For example, we're looking at a Newton Links at the moment. Stops at the top of Brimfield Road, then you've got probably 250 meters down to Langland. Just seems to me that a lot of people would then, use that route. So just wondering if there any potential of, adding some. I accept that some of the Gower locations are quite hard to get to, so it wouldn't fit all the sites, but some I think would be quite a good asset to add to our active travel route. And off of that as well, with regards to the Welsh Coastal Path, I'm just wondering, is there any sections that we get feedback on that you then report to Countryside Access? For example, is there a stretch which people would like to use more and that we could upgrade? And how's that money drawn down? Do you communicate with them, and where's that going? So I have got 2 other questions, but just those first, please.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Thomas. With regards to the first one, I think that's just sort of outside my sphere of influence, really. But how that question would be answered by colleagues, I'm sure, would be welcomed in terms of, I suppose we need to understand, where are we falling short in terms of these links. I think, inevitably, you're going to get people using them. There are no signs up saying residents only can use this cycle path, are there? I think the infrastructure is going to benefit visitors just as much as it is residents when they do come, and not forgetting, a lot of these people do work in facilities that do attract visitors. So whether they're working in businesses in Mumbles or the marina, we've got good routes into those areas where they can access them quite safely, really, on a bike. I'd have to take that question back, to be perfectly honest, the first part. The second one, with regards to the rights of way, well, what we've seen is, what an asset it is, and maintaining that asset is proving to be a challenge. But also, in terms of making it accessible as well, there's been quite a lot of investment at sort of key parts of that path where they've managed to not only improve it, but make it far more accessible to people with disabilities. And we've been able to use that and promote that with regards to some of the videos that we produced over the years, certainly from that corner round from Langland, in between Langland and Caswell. I think with regards to ongoing development, certainly the Gower AONB team will look to us in terms of the research to back up any funding applications. We certainly support their applications to Welsh Government in terms of knowing what are the best bits that require that increase in maintenance. I think we rely on their expertise really in terms of they're the guys that are walking it every day, and they know where the pressure points are. But certainly through the marketing of it, we are conscious that we shouldn't be doing that all the time, and certainly at times when it's really busy, we do offer up other walking options throughout the destination, not just the coast path. So I'm not quite sure if I've answered those.
Yeah, I think sufficiently. Yeah. My other two questions. I know I was on a scrutiny group years ago when we started talking about the cycle map. I think Chris Dale had done quite a lot of work on that already, luckily, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, one of the things we said at the time, and I haven't seen it since, we were talking about a sort of ski map style, where you've got red, black, blue, green lines. I just wondering if that had been done, if that had been implemented in this map, how it was going to link up with, does it require the active travel routes to run all the way to Pennard, for example, or can we benefit from that now? I'm thinking about more rural Gower rather than the city centre with regards to that. And the last question was, our dark skies you mentioned earlier. While we were in the meeting, I just had a quick look on Dark Skies website. And on Dark Skies Wales, we aren't actually registered on that. I'm wondering are we sort of like an unofficial Dark Skies area, or what was the other question? Thanks.
Okay, yeah. So with regards to the second question, we haven't got dark sky status yet. We're working towards that, so that's probably why it's not listed. But certainly, by improving in the offer, supporting businesses and promoting it like we do, shows our commitment really to trying to get that status. I think Mike Scott is the lead officer on that, and like I say, some of these things are outside of our sphere of influence. With regards to the active travel map, again, I would suggest perhaps the colleagues from that team to outline what their future development and sort of marketing plans are really, so that you can see as a panel perhaps if there is a sort of gap in the mapping exercise which would give you the opportunity perhaps to flag up some of the areas that need consideration. With regards to the map in terms of sort of showing it as a from a scale of difficulty, I took that. Was it Councillor Thomas?
Yeah.
So that's often quite difficult because obviously everyone comes with different levels of ability. But again, I think we've certainly tried that over the years with walking routes, is to demonstrate, how difficult the terrain is. I haven't seen anything come forward from colleagues in terms of development of a map with the scale of difficulty for each of those sections.
Okay. One other comment I just wanted to make is that I've obviously been responsible for Mumbles and Langland. I obviously see a lot more of my ward than others.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing a lot of tourists coming down is experiencing the dipping, like going in the sea in the winter and all times of year, but especially in the winter. So I think it's worth researching, looking into that as a sort of campaign for the winter as well, because it is extremely popular. And people are coming in coffee shops with their dry robes, so Mumbles should be sponsored by Dry Robe, I think.
Yeah. Well, yes, it is. It is part of the kit, really, isn't it? We kind of picked this conversation up with the beaches management group from a safety point of view, because sometimes, well, as we're witnessing now, people are using the beach at times where we're not lifeguarding it, so it is proving to be a bit of a challenge. But generally what we're finding with those particular groups is that they are sensible. One of the things that has enabled them to do this a bit more safely is the sort of influence that we've had about reducing the amount of what did you call it, not quad bikes, jet skis, because we were having a particular problem with jet skis coming in far too close, and there are some guidance around that. So through Steve Kern at Nabrock, reducing the the ability and availability of people just coming down without sort of unlicensed craft and launching from Nabrock, we're restricting the numbers of people on the water. So the feedback we've had from the RNLI is that last year the number of incidents were down as a result of any sort of near misses. And it is safer all year round then for these people to experience. What that is bringing with it, like you say, they are spending their money out a year in local coffee shops and things, but also we've got and it's not on one of our beaches unfortunately, but it is down at Oxwich, is this sauna, this mobile sauna that they're bringing onto the beach, and that's proving a welcomed addition to the offer really at this time of year, so that people are going in for the dip and then booking into the sauna. And I think we've seen the introduction of another one at Caswell as well. Not on the beach at Caswell. I think it's up on one of the farms, but people can go for a dip and then go back to this sauna at Caswell as well. Both of them are partners that we're working with. So
Right.
So apologies
Robert?
that I can't give more detailed responses on the cycling one, but that we have relied on colleagues from other sections to provide us with the update on that.
Oh, thanks, Steve. I think Robert was first, then Mark.
Yeah, I think regarding the question that Councillor Will Thomas about the cycle paths, cycle routes, perhaps based on like you would see in a ski map of green, blue, red and black. I think is a very good idea, actually, Will. I think that depending on the difficulty, anybody who goes skiing understands the different colors and the abilities that people have, and how far they want to push themselves. The new person going cycling might say, well, I'm going to look for the green, or I'm going to look for a blue and just avoid the red or the black. Whereas the ardent cyclist will think, no, I want the red and the black, and that's what I want for a long distance on the distance. So I think it is a good idea. Perhaps we could look at, talking to people like Sustrans and see if they have any experience of that as an action point. I know I'm not aware of any, but I think it's a really good idea.
Thank you, Robert. Mark?
Thank you, Chair. I wouldn't disagree with that at all, actually, around that mapping around active travel. Just for members' benefit, active travel was subject to scrutiny back in September by the programme committee. So there's been a detailed examination of that overall programme. But I'm sure officers via Steve would be able to provide the detail that's been requested to the various questions today. So if Steve can link in with our highways colleagues, I'm sure that can be accommodated.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to? Right, I'll ask the. Well, the other question I've got is again about cycle paths. It's a different take on it. I'm concerned about the sort of legalese about them being able to stop certain cycle paths going through areas. And my question is it actually where they were areas that people could traverse before, that people could walk through, that they were rights of way for walkers? And will they disappear if we don't have a cycle path through? Suddenly it'll become a sort of no-go area for everyone.
Apologies, Chair. Was that one of the questions that was submitted?
Yes,
was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Forgive me if I may share my screen. It might be easier for me to refer to the response that we had from colleagues. Is that coming through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's one about the toilets. If you go up, but.
Forgive me,
Chair, if I may, just regarding the display of the information, we just need to be a little bit cautious regarding the translation requirements. So if we could take some advice from Michelle on that. Steve, I appreciate you trying to assist here, but just we can just pause at that point.
Yeah. Okay. So this was the update that we had from colleagues in highways. It's forget Johan's Williams, was it Johan Williams? I'll certainly, I can act as a portal really in terms of any supplementary questions that come out here. But this was the response with regards to the points that you raised. And forgive me, I'm probably not the best one again to respond on this one.
No, it's not really a matter for my portfolio. This on the cycling would be either the countryside or the cycling routes. So it could be Andrew Stevens. Or there again,
Okay.
it could be David
fine.
Hopkins. Yeah.
But hopefully, Chair, that the response there
It is relevant. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The response there is what you were looking to get from that particular question.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
This is
okay.
like I can happy to take back any supplementary questions anyway.
No,
Apologies
that's
for that.
fine. It was just a concern that if we didn't have the cycle routes there, that people would say, well, you can't go anywhere along there, and people do walk. Okay, I think Oliver's got 2 questions to ask. Or at least 1 question to ask. Oliver, do you want to? I don't know where he's gone.
Well, as regards Oliver's question about
Yeah.
do you anticipate the recent changes to bus services will have a big effect on green tourism? That happened many, many years ago when we had deregulation of the bus services. We were promised that we would have more buses coming along more often, especially off the main routes. I actually mentioned this in council last time when we said there would be smaller buses, like the Gower Pony, if you remember it, that came along. We were promised that with privatization, there would be more competition and that more competition would drive prices down. Actually, my experience is the opposite has happened, in that it's driven prices up, less frequency, no service. We haven't got a public transport system. So it does affect places, especially like Gower or areas like up Slue Valley, up towards the reservoir. There's just no way of people getting there other than taking a car or cycling. Which is somebody's able-bodied, they might take the trip up there, but if they're not able-bodied like myself, suffering from COPD, there's no way of getting there other than by taking a car for myself. And so the deregulation hasn't delivered. Personally, I would see going back to regulated services and bus services there for the public, and not for profit, but for essential transport for people to getting around. If there's a regular service that is affordable, I think far more people would use it. And I know that in the summer when we put free transport on, a lot more people were using that to get to the destination. But with deregulation, it just hasn't worked, in my opinion. Again, it's not our portfolio, but relevant to tourism.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. Just with regards to the particular question, yeah, we know from the research that we did in 2022, the majority of people are still arriving by car. I suppose one of the issues is that we've got 2 providers. We've got Adventure Travel and First Cymru, and they don't operate that through ticket system. So if you jump on one, you can't use another service. That does pose a particular problem. We know that routes are still in operation, but the frequency of service is reduced, which is a bit of a challenge. And of course, what we're trying to do is encourage people to use public transport. But I suppose the ongoing rail dispute is discouraging people from using rail as an option into the destination as well. So those are the things that are likely to have an impact on tourism, and in particular green tourism as well, is getting people out of their cars. But I suppose the one crumb of comfort that we've got from the report today is the fact that people are wanting to walk, people are wanting to cycle when they get here. Businesses are looking to invest in these facilities, and hopefully the more facilities that we invest in, the more visitors that we'll attract in this more sustainable way.
Thank you.
And Sarah, if I may come in there, some of the grants that we give out to the ERF, I visited with Steve a couple of hotels where they put in provisions where people could keep their little lock-up cabins, basically, where people can keep their bags, where they had a dry room to keep their they can have a shower after cycling back, and change out of their equipment, of a warm room to dry off. So I think it is improving the facilities when we've made those grants available. So I look forward to having more money so that we can actually upgrade far more facilities down in, well, not just Gower, but other rural areas of Swansea as well.
Don't we all? Thanks, Robert. Right, Chris.
Yeah, and I just kind of had an example of how the deregulation of the buses has failed. As part of the Gower Walking Festival last year, we ran a walk from Rossilly to Mumbles. There were no buses that could get people to Rossilly for an 8 o'clock in the morning start. So everybody had to take cars to get to Rossilly. When we reached Mumbles, we then had to taxi people back from Mumbles to Rossilly, and then they had to drive back from Rossilly to wherever they were started. So it does have a massive effect.
Yeah, exactly. In a nutshell. Thanks, Chris.
And each journey was probably about 17, 18 miles in each direction. And it is not good enough. We need a public transport system. Rossilly is a great destination that people want to go to. And basically, the only way people are going to get there is by car, and especially the example you give there, Chris, is a good example. I suppose we just need to keep putting pressure on having a service that is timely and affordable as well, because most people, families I talk to, can't afford to take the bus all the way down to Rossilly when it is running, which isn't very often, and probably that's why it's not running very often.
No, thank you. Okay, is any other hands up? No. Anyone else want to say anything? Okay. Right, item 7. Can I just say though, actually, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Robert and Mark, for being here. And that's been a really good, enlightening conversation. Bit depressing. Yeah, we could do with more funding. Thoroughly agree with you there. But yeah, thank you all for your contributions, because yeah, I hope you can take something away, Steve, from that. Yeah. Okay, item 7. Work programme 2023 to 24. Any comments? No? Okay. We're skimming along. The next meeting is on the 30th of January at 10. Items to be discussed: nature and biodiversity update and monitoring delivery and corporate priority objective, maintain and enhance nature and biodiversity in Swansea, and the public electric vehicle charging provision. So any questions, send them to myself or Liz on that one. Ready? I'm sure we'll have a meeting prior to the scrutiny again, Liz, yeah? And see if that's, yeah, okay, thank you. Can I bring the meeting to a close and thank you all for attending? Liz, you can stop the recording. Thanks.
Thank you.